is there that drove you to crypto basically?
5-7 years back, I started to learn about crypto, new projects being launching, and that side of things. And then I realized the power of tokenomics.
Right. What other things are you solving?
So if we want to make these smaller companies succeed, I think companies like us have to come.
They're manipulating the psyche,
The psyche, right?
the mentality of people by using that data. So hello everyone, this is Sudeep once again reporting live from Token 2049. And joined by me is Gourav from IO.net. So let us first understand exactly what IO.net does and how you are able to make a change from, what we had a discussion before this video was that Gourav is an army veteran and being, hard up in the body and soft in his demeanor is one of the fortes that I could see definitely. And then he moved to IT and then he came to crypto. So what is there that drove you to crypto basically?
To be honest, I'm a builder at heart. So I started with a few startups in India, then wanted to basically build something big. Wanted to learn for bigger companies to move to HP R&D. I was a hardcore Linux kernel engineer. Then I saw industry moving towards application programming and all. Moved to Amazon, from Amazon, eBay. And then I landed up in this part of the world, Asia, in Thailand and Singapore. And I worked with booking holding group of companies. One of the sister companies are Gourav here. And during that time, there were a couple of other builders who was having exposure of crypto. And from there, around 5-7 years back, I started to learn about crypto, new projects being launching, and that side of things. And then I realized the power of tokenomics.
Right.
The blockchain, how you can use a combination of those two along with my previous background. And when I realized that, I thought, okay, let's take an exposure on the crypto side of things. So then I moved from Agora to Binance. So I was working in the engineering leadership at Binance for a couple of years. What other place to learn other than Binance?
Then
for a lot of
the leader itself.
And from there, I thought, okay, now it's the best time to start something of your own. And from there, I moved to IONet, because in the past 10 years, I realized and I could see slowly and steadily how AI was becoming more and more important. And especially in the last 4 years, I could easily see that AI is the piece which every company has to adopt to. And during that problem, I saw that there is actually an AI compute issue. If you're a big company, you may not see it. But if you are a startup or an early builder, there is for sure a problem. And I could see that problem, and that's where this whole journey started.
Right. So solving a problem is one way of forming a project. There are certain other things, this is not just the limited scope for IO.net. What other things are you solving? And what exactly is the whole paraphernalia, if you talk about the tech that you're building? I'll discuss with you in two respects. First about the tech, and then about how that tech is more apt and more suited for the Web3 ecosystem.
Fair. So there are two things, right? A lot of times you build products to be an agent of change so that where the industry is headed,
right,
you make that journey faster.
Right.
I think that's what we're doing. Today, AI products honestly are being charged as a luxury product, and it should be a utility product, honestly.
Right.
And I personally feel that's where the industry would be headed on its own. But that journey will take multiple years, and the builders need that thing to be done today.
Exactly.
And we want to be that agent of change for the whole industry, right? For example, CPUs were being charged a premium around 10-15 years back. People used to buy servers in the software company. They used to pay millions of dollars. Then the cloud came in, CPU were being charged very costly. Now it's pretty cheap,
pretty accessible.
We are having the same problem in the GPU side also.
Exactly.
Will it become cheaper and cheaper? Absolutely yes. But the journey is still 5-10 years. At least 5 years for sure, right?
Exactly.
But if we are really saying, and it's happening on the ground also, that everybody is adopting to AI today, and the builders of today have to pay that premium. So I think the percentage of companies, especially the smaller ones who can succeed, will be much lower. And this big giants will keep becoming bigger. So if we want to make these smaller companies succeed, I think companies like us have to come.
And it's, I must say, more with blockchain, with any other ecosystem, we're sitting on a pile of data. It's data, and data. and having data without it being put to a good use is basically the biggest drawback we can be having. So first wave of IT infrastructure, of social media, of other data collection sources, we collected data, but now we have too much of data and nowhere to see what to do with that data, and we are not even disposing that out. That's where I think AI comes into picture, and to crunch that much of data, GPU is the only solution. That is one thing. But setting up of GPUs, facilitating GPUs also require a lot of AI-enabled tools. So how is your approach? How accessible, if I'm building an AI tool, how accessible will that tool be for IO.net to reach out to you, to access to your services, and how can we do that if it is an AI tool? Because I am also contemplating a big tool related to a blockchain analysis of sort. But then the first limitation is developing an AI tool. Second limitation, the biggest limitation, is having access to GPU to actually crunch that data.
So the market is set up in a very weird way, I'll say. So in one way, there's a scarcity of resources like GPUs and all. And on the other hand, if you really look at it, there are plenty of hardware lying there which nobody has access to.
Exactly.
Like, for example, I was giving somebody an example today that I've seen these hotel chains working from last 10 years, being a part of this industry. They're literally charging the same amount of money they used to charge 8 years back.
Right.
So you take inflation in picture, they're actually charging less today compared to what they used to charge.
They're just surviving, barely surviving.
Yes. So I think same thing is, first of all, in data side of things, right? Until you give incentive to people to share data, we are living in a capitalist world. Nobody will share data. Like if let's say you have a media company and you have a lot of proprietary media data, why would you share it to the world? Like if you have companies, 100 companies like yours, then me, the other 90 may not, because they have their own business to be built, they have their own personal issues at home, where they have their office thing. What is the incentive for them to give data to the outside world? Some people may become bigger people and they may share it, but majority won't, right? So incentives have to be given, right? Second thing is, after you share this data to the world, what does the other person gain, right?
Yes.
So the model is as strong as the data it has. And the reality is that today, majority of the data is being collected by selected few big companies.
The giants.
And they have no incentive to share this data to anybody else.
They are manipulating the psyche,
Right?
the mentality of people by using that data. I mean, that's in a way dangerous to the mindset of the society.
Exactly.
I mean, we all know in the first campaign of Trump, the issue was highlighted quite big.
Correct. So I think that's where the blockchain comes in. So with the help of blockchain and tokenomics and crypto, you kind of give incentives to those people to come and become part of the ecosystem. That's one. The second thing is, I think you will see literally each and every country creating their own models in some way or the other. India did it recently. In Middle East, almost all the countries are doing it because everybody wants their upcoming generation to basically talk to the models which just doesn't give them the answers, but something of cultural background, narrative, biases, right? They want the pure thing, and they want the cultural thing also to be that. That's the reality, right? If people don't see it, right? Now, how blockchain helps not just in this, but other things when you're using any model for that matter in the outside world is, what data is that model being trained on? Let's say you're using a particular model, like you knew what it was trained on 1 year back. Is there any bias in that model today? Has it been retrained on a new set of data which has created those biases? With the blockchain and visibility, you can be always confident of that. That's the second thing. Right? And the third thing is, the reality is that people don't realize it many times, and I've seen it happening in my previous tenures, that if you basically give people tools, confidence, trust, and openness, you can literally compete with giants of the world. For example, I used to work in HP R&D. I was an HP operating system side of businesses, extremely profitable business. And then suddenly it started going downhill. The reason was a guy named Linus came in, created Linux.
And installed once.
People were literally contributing at that time for that operating system for free. They'll work in daytime in the office, come at the night time, contribute there for free. And so it became like, you just can't compete with Linux because once
Server is still running on, Linux.
exactly, once the community and people believe in your cause, they see you, this is what exactly the people and the future needs, they'll go to any extremes to give it back to the community. And I think we have already seen it in multiple places in Web2 side of things. Web3 is just making that journey even faster in multiple domains, right? I think as long as solid visionary builders come in and they give that confidence to the community, I think we are at a hockey stick growth kind of a moment right now.
So one more thing that I want to ask, what do you perceive Web3 to be in the times to come? It will be more, say, refined to a back-end technology, a background technology, a tech which is like helping big things work, the UI, UX and the user interface remaining the same? Or will it touch lives in more ways than one?
Everything will change.
Everything.
UI, UX, backend, I'll say change itself, everything will change. And especially with AI itself, it will be that agent of change, right?
It's learning itself.
Learning itself. For example, you were saying how somebody can use it in previous question IO, right? So IO has GPUs. We basically created software layers like for inferencing to consume these GPUs in an easy way and so on and so forth, right? How is it helping companies? It's basically initially used to have hundreds of thousands of people to create $1 billion business. Then in last 10, 15 years, it became like 1,000 people you can create $1 billion business. And now we have clients which are making $1 billion businesses with like 20, 25 people. We literally have clients like those. Now,
a 29% company.
So imagine like that's the way industry is headed. Along with that, once people start to see the benefits of the blockchain, the Web3 openness, the power of community. Like for example, for us, a lot of deals which we do, honestly, sometimes comes from the community. Like you literally have a Salesforce team sitting there.
They want a solution and they would reach out for the solution.
Exactly.
They won't wait for a company to develop it. They will say, please develop it for us. That is the openness part.
Exactly. So if I would have been in a Web2 company and I create a product and I want to have testing done at scale, it'll take me a year.
And there you'll have to justify to the investors.
Exactly.
And crypto, as I always say in my podcast, that it is one big global village. So we are all brothers and sisters here.
Exactly. And the amount of testing you can do at scale when you're launching a product, it's insane in Web3. I normally tell new builders, if you don't use Web3 ecosystem for something, at least use it for clearing your hypothesis and testing the initial phase of your product. Because the amount of energy the Web3 community has and the openness they have to ideas which are there, it's insane. So you can literally create your product, test your idea, and there'll be thousands and thousands of people who will test your product on day one and will get the feedback on day one. That literally is unheard of in the Web2 side of things. Even if you pay somebody a huge amount of money in Web2, they'll still not hear you. So at least use it for that, like bare minimum.
We call that adoption. People are more prone to new technologies. They don't just see benefit in it. They see that sense of community building. And we are doing it for ourselves. We are the community.
Exactly.
But, you definitely have a GPU setup. No regulations, not much other things required on that side. As a person from industry, dealing with large corporates, dealing with a number of things, what is your perspective upon the regulatory environment that is prevalent these days? Governments are not opening up because we are not able to understand. And the crypto ecosystem is hell-bent upon the fact that they don't want KYCs to be done because they want to be anonymous. And that is probably creating the biggest problem in terms of making a bridge between the regulatory environment and the Web3 ecosystem. And trust me, having been at the regulatory side, I know without regulations, you won't be able to survive and grow for long. Yeah, you have to come under the ambit of regulations. And what does government want? They just want everything to be traced back. So that, there are a number of negative things happening around in crypto as well. Dark web is using Bitcoin payments even for assassinations. Where is your perspective? Where does your perspective lie in the mid of these things? How can things happen? How can things change?
So somebody I respect very heavily told me years back that if you believe in your idea, and you know it will be big, which we genuinely feel I will be big, you think of the long-term vision right from day one. And as you said, if you're small, there may be some startups who can get away with KYC and all those things. But the moment you start becoming big, the government itself will come back by one and after you. Yeah. For sure. You see it in exchanges left, right, and center. When you're a very small exchange.
I mean, in India, even Binance has to do KYC now. So we cannot say anonymous.
And we literally believed right from day one that we will be big. And within 1.5 years, we are there, right, already. So we built compliance first product right from the beginning. We knew that would be needed. So if you go to our platform today, you can literally see which particular hardware is SOC 2, which country it comes from, so on and so forth, right? It's GDPR compliant. So for example, let's say you're a business out of India and you want GPUs only out of India because the government says that you have to process, you have to keep everything within your own country, right? India. You can do that. Singapore, you can do that. So you, in our platform, you can go and pick at the country level. You can pick what particular compliance you want from the hardware. So we built it that way right from day one because we knew and we don't want to be in a place where, you make some business, become big and then start thinking. First of all, it's very hard to pivot at that time. Second, it's not even ethical.
That's more a fresh grad out of college thinking.
Exactly.
Being in the industry for so long, you would first think of how I can cover the corners first before building a business.
And the reality also in our business is people are very forgiving in Web3 industry as long as they trust you. So trust is highly important. And I think since time I'm being part of the team, we have worked very, very heavily on the trust side, both on supplier side and the consumer side. And we are not building a platform for skirting around the regulatory side of things. Right? It's not the intent. It cannot be one way that you'll only do decentralization without regulation. You can have a good and fair overlap of both of them.
It will come in the times to come. As a youngster, as a 25-year-old, freshly out of college, you can think that I can build a technology which can circumvent the regulations. But if you really, as you said it right, if you want to be big, you have to yourself come under the ambit of regulations. Without that, you won't be able to survive.
Yes.
You won't be even able to grow, let alone survive.
Correct. And in fact, in tech also, they basically say that if you are not sure of what you're doing, then do something hacky, take its product to the market, and then iterate. But if you're extremely confident something will work, build it in a scalable way right from day one. And compliance is something, if you don't build it right from day one as a part of your software system, later on to pivot around it is extremely hard. Trust me, it's extremely hard.
Exactly. I've seen so many businesses collapsing just because they were non-compliant. Just because of that.
And later on, building that compliant tech in software is not easy.
Not easy.
So we built it the compliant first, modular way, the very start.
So that's about the industry. IO.net. Solving a purpose must have been the first thing that was there in your mind. But how do you see crypto industry or Web3 world getting ahead in time, especially with IO.net? I mean, where all, if I ask about the specific kind of projects where it can be made applicable, I mean, you won't definitely be of any good use to a meme token who's just having a smart contract on a website. But where all do you see your applications in the Web3 ecosystem by and large?
So anything you want to do with AI, you can take it from IO. Today itself, honestly, for example, if you want raw
Agents as well, agents?
we have a platform for that also. In the background, we are already giving it to some of the customers. So again, we wanted to be a matured player in the market. So what we did was many times the product we don't have, in reality, we already have it in the background. We have given it to some of the customers. They're using it for 4 or 5 months. And then we take it to the production, because sometimes things which are good in a particular industry, they can bite you back also. For example, in a Web2 startup, if you create an early product and all, and let's say they have bugs here and there, and you take it to a Web2 player and they find a bug, in those cases they are forgiving. The Web2 people are forgiving in startups. But in Web3, honestly, because people have seen such a bad past, that if you take a product in the market and it has any bugs, the first thing is it's a scam. Something is going wrong. So now,
Even if it is not a scam, it can be hacked. The assets can be washed away overnight.
Assets could be hacked, right? So, and it's basically same thing which is good in Web3, that you get huge number of people trying your product, something can bite you back also, that people, if the product is not there, they feel something is weird, and they can go to some extreme because they have so much of energy, right? And I think that's one thing which is bad for our industry, because that's one of the reasons that even the good builders many times are keeping their product in the background, just showing a website for years and being in testnet, rather than like taking their product to the community and say, use it, right? So
There are a few names that are coming to my mind, but
yeah, so
prefer not to say it.
so that's happening in the industry, and that's not for good, right? I think you should take the product to the market as soon as possible.
Those a few say bad apples have actually categorized the whole industry as a scam, and those have been done by people who have been very big in the industry.
Correct. And to be honest, we were bitten by this also. When we came in the startup, we were like literally, as Web2 people kind of mentality, we built a product in 6 months, took it to the market. Obviously, it had few gaps at that time. People saw it, like they had so much of history from other projects, they were trying to target us. We eventually solved it. Now we're at a place that even Web2 companies are taking our GPUs for millions of dollars and so on and so forth. Like, that's what got been great. But we're also skeptical many times that should we take this product until it's mature to the market. The same community, they try it, they should see
Question that you have to daily answer.
exact.
I mean, as an entrepreneur, I think having been in the industry for like working for like 25 years, having been in the industry for 5 years now, every morning you get up with a set of questions. What for today? Is it gonna, am I gonna get through with the day or not? So that is being a part of the entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, if you are in salary, nothing matters. But if you are on your business and it is a daily question, you have to answer.
Like, honestly, we did a lot of things in the industry which were kind of unheard of. Like, for example, when we launched a Deepen 6 months, there were some gaps, people called it out, we fixed it. And then we said, okay, now the platform is there, the network is there, GPUs are there, let's try to focus on the business. And within 3 months, we saw exponential growth of business, right? Like today, we are more than 19 million ARR already, right? And we started focusing on the revenue side of things in like just 6 or 8 months back. And that's also in the Deepen side of things, unheard of. Same communities, like again, started pointing out, is this revenue real? Is this real? And then you as a founder kind of comes in a place that should I build products which Web2 companies and my Web3 customers also need, or should I create a product to give visibility to the community who has helped me reach here? And then you were like, this trust is so important in Web3 because that plays a huge role. We launched TNE on chain. So any revenue which comes in on our side, we basically bring it on chain and people can follow it. Okay, this is the path which came in as a cash or token. This is where it's going. And you can just track it end to end, which nobody did in Deepen, right? So it took us a good amount of bandwidth. Honestly, we could have used that bandwidth to do something which would have directly helped these builders who use these GPUs in the product. I think we did it back. So this question always comes. Same thing with, like you said, agentic things, right? We do have that product. There are some people using it in the background. And we're working with them. There are a few gaps there. We are trying to make it more mature so that we launch it to the wider audience. But as of today, GPUs are there. To consume GPUs, you can have a Kubernetes, a VM, multiple other ways. Inferencing product is there, right? Training product is there. And I think in a year or two, anything which you need, be it a storage, be it a network, consuming it their own way, agentic framework, I'm pretty sure industry will be headed into place we haven't even thought of. Those will also be there. Like, we want to be the AI cloud, period. Not for Web2 or Web3 in particular, period. And I think we have a community backing, developers, and the industry backing that we can be there.
So guys, lot of questions, lot of answers, the deep discussion. As deep a man Gourav is, deep into tech, deep into his thought process, deep into product making, and has solved a very, very valid problem. Because it has always been intuitive, sometimes counterintuitive, where the data is going, where all the data is gonna get stored, and how it is going to be utilized. Gourav seems to be having solutions to all these things, but again, this is more a business-centric product that Gourav is building. So it is an honest appeal to all the crypto community out there. Please, guys, come forward, see what you can do with AI agents. If you're building on AI, IO.net is the go-to place for that. Gourav is the go-to person to help them solve the problem. If you're working on data, definitely IO.net is the go-to place for you. So with this, we come to the end of the session. A lot of discussion is pending. I think I'll get back home thinking as to what we can actually do and with such kind of data and what can be built on it. I mean, I might be having 2 or 3 products of myself. I'm in fact conceptualizing a project that requires GPU. So definitely I'll get back to you as a customer, not as a media company later on. With this, we come to the close of the session. I'll keep bringing you more good updates from Token 2049. And with this, the interesting stuff doesn't stop here. We'll get back to you with more such updates. Till then, thanks so much. Bye.